We have a major update on the Knicks and their minutes distributions for next season. We all already know, headed into next year, the Knicks have a stacked roster, and the only way for them to benefit from it is for them to sacrifice. But according to Fred Katz of The Athletic, 2 players on the Knicks will have to sacrifice more than some others. We're talking about Josh Hart and Donte DiVincenzo. We're going to break down these latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are making major changes to the minutes distribution for next season. We all knew this was coming. When you add Mikal Bridges, you're getting Julius Randle back. And you look at the roster from last year and you notice a lot of the players that were playing significant minutes, likely if we were fully healthy, would be coming off the bench. And now this year, we're living with that reality. Donte DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, 2 great guys for the Knicks, and they're going to be coming off of the bench for New York next season. Last year, they were starting, and they had an incredible impact. They're still going to have the same level of impact off the bench, but it seems like they're going to do so in limited minutes. And we all knew this was coming. In order to make room for Julius Randle and Mikal Bridges, you're going to have to distribute the minutes a little bit more evenly. And when you do that, that means you're going to have to take away minutes from somewhere. And it looks like the Knicks may be taking those minutes away from Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. Let's go ahead and break down these latest reports from Fred Katz at The Athletic on the Knicks and what their plans on minutes distributions are for the upcoming season. According to Fred Katz, he states, to figure out playing time for 5 players, we have to do so for the entire rotation. There are 240 minutes to go around. We'll give Brunson 35, all at point guard. Miles McBride will receive 13 minutes behind him. We'll give Randle 34, but because it's August 20th and normally boring offseason could use extra spice, let's get bold and say 26 of those minutes will come at the power forward, with 8 more at center. Yes, we'll predict 4 minutes in each half, during which Randle plays center. So before we even move forward any further here, we already see changes are likely happening to the lineup, to the rotation. If the Knicks have to deal with Mitchell Robinson as the starting center, they're likely going to experiment with the backup center position. And as you just heard from Fred Katz, some of those minutes, not all of them, but some of them might go to Julius Randle. The Knicks might go small during those moments. Josh Hart could play the 4, Donte DiVincenzo could play the 3, and who knows who could be the 2 guards for the Knicks in that particular lineup. But what I'm saying is the Knicks have options, and clearly they might go this direction. But I'm very happy to hear Fred Katz breaking down the total minutes for each and every player. We already see Jalen Brunson, he is going to get the bulk of the minutes at point guard. That's no surprise. Miles McBride might get the next most minutes at point guard. That's also not a surprise. But if that didn't happen and he played more at shooting guard, wouldn't surprise me either, because the Knicks had plans for him to play that position for a while now, but they didn't have the roster to allow him to do that. Now, given the talent we have on the bench, we might be able to put players in their right positions. But let's continue here with Fred Katz and his reports. Anunoby receives 34 minutes. So does Bridges, who the Knicks stagger so he can play alongside McBride during the reserve minutes, allowing the Knicks newbie to run the second unit. And to call it even, DiVincenzo and Hart play 25 minutes. If DiVincenzo is on fire from 3, he can play more. If the Knicks need more rebounding or an extra defender, they could turn to Hart. So what does this exercise teach us? That it's difficult to find minutes for DiVincenzo and Hart, arguably the NBA's best 1-2 punch off the bench, without playing Randle at center for a meaningful stretch of each game. So what this is basically stating here is, unless the Knicks go small and play Julius Randle at the 5 for significant minutes, Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart are likely going to see limited minutes. And since the Knicks are unlikely to play Julius Randle significant minutes at the 5 spot, it really does mean that Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart are going to see a little bit more of a reduced role in terms of minutes. They're going to still have the same type of impact in the minutes that they play. Is that the minutes are going to go down because they're going to have to go to other people. Mikal is going to need more minutes. Julius Randle is going to need more minutes. Depending on the player who's hot and whoever we have to ride the hot hand with, they're going to need more minutes. So the Knicks are going to have to do all of that and make those decisions. It's going to come down to Coach Tom Thibodeau and what he feels is working best. But as of right now, we have to understand the minutes, the rotations, everything we saw last year, they're changing. But in my opinion, changing for the better. Because in order to play all of this talent in the best possible way, you need to make sacrifices. And the Villanova guys, whether it's Jalen, whether it's Mikal, whether it's Josh, whether it's DiVincenzo, and even more than that, all the Knicks players, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, whoever it is, they are willing to make the necessary sacrifices if it means this Knicks team winning. That's why, if you would ask Donte DiVincenzo or Josh Hart right now, would they mind sacrificing some of their minutes in order for the Knicks to win more games, to be even more competitive, even more healthy entering the postseason? I think they all would smile and say yes, because that's the goal, getting to the postseason as fully healthy as possible. So that way we can go where we should have went to the Eastern Conference Finals and go where we always should have gone, the NBA Finals. Cash in our ticket, make some history happen, break the drought, and bring the championship where it belongs, back to New York City. Let's finish up this report here from Fred Katz and what he has to say about Donte and Josh Hart here. If Robinson were to go for, say, 28 minutes with the Chua playing 20 at center, Hart and DiVincenzo would have a mere 42 minutes to share between the two of them. Ultimately, the Knicks employ too many good players. The horror, says Fred Katz. And it's another reason why the perceived hole at backup center may not be as big of a deal as it appears to be at first glance. If the Knicks use the MLE to bring in a center who deserves around 20 minutes behind Robinson, Hart or DiVincenzo could be the collateral damage in terms of giving that new player extra minutes. Fred Katz makes a very good point. If the Knicks use the MLE to bring in another backup big for Mitchell Robinson, that means that big is going to need minutes. The Knicks are going to have to find minutes for that big, and that means you're taking away minutes from other players. I'm not going to say it's going to be exclusively from Donte DiVincenzo and Josh Hart, but a bulk of the minutes are likely going to come from those two, and they're fan favorites. But here's the thing. Those Villanova boys, they want to sacrifice. This entire Knicks team, they want to sacrifice. They're going to do whatever is needed to win games, stay competitive, and be the team everyone expects them to be. And that is something that we all need to understand. It's all about unlocking our full potential. You can't do that if one person is dominating on everything. The only way you do that is by sacrifice and sharing the ball. Brunson already knows that. Julius Randle already knows that. If your two all-stars on this team already know their roles, what they need to do, and the fact that they're going to need to sacrifice in order for this team to win as many games as possible, then that means that entire message is going to be bought into by everybody else on the roster. When your stars are doing it, it makes it a lot easier for everybody else to follow through with it. And if you were wondering who would be the second option on this team, well, Fred Katz helps to answer that as well, too, by giving us the following information. According to him, if all goes correctly with the Knicks, Randle will be the team's number 2 option. He'll be the second leading scorer and will make a run at leading team in assists. How the Knicks operate late will depend on the game, situation, and opponent, other than one element of their late game offense. Once again, crunch time will belong to Jalen Brunson. And that's exactly who I want to take over during crunch time, my superstar point guard. Because last year, when he was doing that, he was dominating. And this year, he's going to do the exact same thing. Only better, because we have a better roster around him. Oh, yeah, and by the way, I don't think Brunson's done improving. I think he has another level. I don't think he's reached the ceiling. And that is a scary thought for everybody in the NBA. If Jalen has not reached his pinnacle, his heights, and he can still improve. He can still get better while the roster around him is better. I hope you can understand now why this Knicks team is feared, why this Knicks team is dangerous, and why we are a legit contender for the NBA Finals. We are built that way. We are coached that way. And we have the stars on this team that are willing to make the sacrifices necessary in order to win. And even if it means playing a little less and sacrificing your minutes, if that means you do it for the greater good, everybody on this team is willing to do that. And that right there is one of many reasons why I love this team. I love being a New York Knicks fan, and I love being a New Yorker. You cannot teach loyalty, hustle, and no pun intended, heart. And New Yorkers, especially the Knicks, we have that in spades. But what about you guys? What do you think about these latest reports indicating that the Knicks are going to be making major changes to their minutes distributions headed into next season? And the two players likely to be most affected are Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.